So I found another tree with some chaga mushroom in it, Michael.
Nice.
And that's this really yellow mushroom on the inside. But as it looks out on the outside, it's blackened. It looks like it's burnt even.
Yeah.
You can see this here, and I didn't burn it. That's just natural. And grows on this one grows on live birch trees.
It's kind of cool how nature shows you what things are for, eh?
It is perfect for fire. So I'm just gonna start a coal here. I don't happen to have any water with you, do you?
No, but everybody heard you say that.
I guess they did. Guess we'll cut that out.
Hope you know how.
Gonna have to put that out here.
So this stuff's pretty hard to find, eh?
It is actually. It's very hard to find. It's very rare in this area. A friend of mine who loves mushrooms and spends a lot of time looking for them has spent 3 years and hasn't found any yet.
Wow.
Although I'm told in Siberia that they can be quite common in some areas.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's an amazing one because in Siberia it's not only used as a mushroom for starting fires, but it's also used as an incense, and it's now being used for cancer treatments. In Siberia, they call it chaga.
What that stands for? What that means?
No, I don't. It's 1/4 of boom chagalaga.
Oh, I didn't know that was Siberia.
I don't know. I'm just keeping my thumb on this because it's still hot.
Yeah.
Still trying to put this out. Normally I have to use some water to put it out.
So that's a really nice pipe mixture. What's in there?
Quite a variety of things. Certainly there's a little bit of tobacco, but there's also mullein, which makes it a little bit smoother and a little easier on the lungs. There's mint. There's a little bit of sage and cedar and sweetgrass. There's also clover blossoms and probably another half a dozen different plants.
Right.
Normally there's at least 12 plants in the mixes that I make.
That's really, really nice.
So Michael, I was thinking about some folks that go out into the woods and they've learned a few skills and they get some confidence under their belt, but maybe a little more confidence than what their skills are ready for.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from that myself when I was younger. Still here though. On
Yeah.
TV.
Well, I think you and I both have some good stories about that. And I remember when I was about 20 years old and thought that I knew a lot, and went out and thought I was just going to do an overnight, middle of the winter. Didn't bring anything to start a fire with. Figured I'd just find something when I was out there. Hiked until it was too late, too dark for me to turn around, and that was when, shortly after, the snow started coming, and and there I was, and everything was wet. My skills weren't as good as I thought they were,
Hmm.
and I almost died that night.
Really?
That was
Wow.
a really eye-opening experience for me, and a good teacher of humility.
Hmm.
And it seems like sometimes people want to push themselves right to the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, I had an experience. I was about 24, and I'd been actually teaching outdoor skills for probably the 3 summers before this. No, I was about 26 actually. And my father and I decided to get together and have kind of a nice reconnect little hiking trip. And for us, a nice hiking trip is about, I don't know, around 100 miles. But no, he's quite the bushman himself. He's a good source of a lot of the things that I've learned in my life. And we actually decided to go through the Stein Valley, which is about 80 miles overland, lots of mountains to cross. And this was in June. So he said he'd been through there before, the summer before, with my older brother. He said it was pretty nice in terms of the weather and stuff. So I brought what I thought I'd need for, a nice June walk, through the mountains of BC, which was not much, or not enough for sure. It usually takes about 8 days, 10 days to go that far if you're carrying, tents and sleeping bags and all that kind of cozy stuff. And about day 7, we're going up through the last series of big mountains. There's a big beautiful lake up there, just pristine wilderness, and total whiteout, 7,500 feet. Couldn't see anywhere. It started about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we kept going along the side of this mountain in the direction that we thought we were, meant to go based on the map we had. And we passed this little cut that we were supposed to go into because we couldn't see it. And moving really slow, thought we had lots more to go. Eventually just set up a camp and decided to stay there. I think we spent 1 or 2 nights there, and then it started to clear up. So the smart thing to do is get a little bit higher, look around and see where you are. And what happens is we go a little bit higher and another whiteout. And we're basically just stuck there. And believe it or not, I was wearing shoes probably less tough than these little hiking boots here. So I'm soaking wet basically in some slightly stronger than running shoes kind of shoes, getting pretty cold because the snow's piling up. Actually, we came around a little outcrop in the mountain, and I'll never forget this moment. I got like maybe 35, 40 pounds in my pack, which is a bit excessive, but not too much for 10 days. And I walk around the side of this thing. I sit down to take off my boots, take more of my shoes. They weren't tennis shoes, but it seems like they were close. And I'm wringing out my socks because they're just soaking wet. Because I didn't bring a lot of socks because I thought I was just going to be walking.
Because it was summertime.
Yeah, it was summertime. and there I am like this, and I lean over to pick up one of my shoes to just see if I can get some water out of it. And I look over the edge of this bank that I was sitting on, and I was sitting on basically I'm not sure what the technical term for it is, but a piece of snow sticking out the side of a cliff.
Oh.
It was like a drift, but a fairly level drift. And I looked over, and it was probably 3,000 feet straight down into an icy blue little lake. And I was just like, starfish, crawl backwards, grab my socks and shoes, pull my pack over here. And I was like, I came this close to falling through probably maybe 2 or 3 feet of snow, 3,000 feet onto my head probably, onto an icy lake. And the hardest part of this whole thing, we eventually got out of there, but my father had a heart attack a few years before that, and he's a strong, healthy guy for the most part. He was on this medication that stopped his heart from going very fast. So as we're starting to try and climb up places and figure out what's going on, he was gassed out because of his medication, but he couldn't stop taking it and not risk a heart attack. So it took us a little bit longer than it usually would have to find ourselves out of there. And strangely enough, probably a miracle for this other fella, about the 3rd day of the snow, we finally got back to the pass where we were supposed to go through. There was this German guy, no slight to German people, they love the outdoors as much as anybody, but he was up there and he was totally lost, and he'd run out of food because of the whiteout. So we all, banded together and shared what we had left. But it took us about 2 or 3 more days to get out of there. And I guess I'll stop the story there, but there's another part that happened about a day later that's really funny. So maybe on another video I'll tell the story about what happened then. But yeah, that was a sketchy thing, and all of us knew more or less what we were doing. But they call it the weather because it's the weather. I mean, climate's what you expect, weather's what you get. And like your story, if the weather ain't on your side, it could take you out pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure.